Welcome to the Shootin' the Q podcast presented by Heath Riles Barbecue with tips, tricks, and an inside look at some of the top pitmasters in the game. Now here's your host, Heath Riles.
Welcome back to another episode of Shootin' the Q. We are only a couple weeks and few days out from Christmas. And boy, this year has flown by.
It has. It really has. I don't know how it's December already.
I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready to call it. I'm ready for a timeout, myself seriously. And so this podcast, and we'll drop one more next week, and then we're going to take us a little break. Only for about 3 weeks, though, 3 to 4 weeks, and then we'll be back like every year. But it will allow me to do a little bit of hunting and a little bit of planning time, which is more important than probably the hunting right now for 2026, is jumping back on that planning. And I will say we have some spectacular guests already lined up coming in January.
Well, sounds good. And this episode's actually going to drop on your birthday. I know we're just a couple days away from that, but since it's coming out on your birthday, happy birthday. How old are you going to be?
I will be 47, 48, 47.
I think it's 47.
I think it's 47 too.
Yeah, you'll be 47.
I mean, when you get so old, it really don't matter anyway. The day don't.
I'm not in my 40s. I always like to remind you of that, so I don't know.
You will be come March. You will be come March.
39 and holding strong for a little while.
Well, with that being said, we've put out a couple really good holiday recipes recently. One of them being a holiday pork loin roast that we did was about 5 pounds, which is a cheap, inexpensive cut that we picked up just to kind of showcase, to people that you don't have to go out and spend a bunch to create a good meal or a good protein for a holiday meal.
Yeah, so you cooked that one on the Rectech Bullseye only for an hour and a half, so that's not a very long cook either.
Well, 5 pounds, such a lean piece of meat. I mean, yeah, it did not take long at all, no.
So you used, looks like, some fresh herbs and the simple citrus rub to put that
We did. We just wanted to take
together.
simple citrus, and I was kind of almost torn about mixing and making it like an olive oil paste to go on it and things like that. But we really just mixed all the rub together and done it up. And we done like a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of rosemary, and a teaspoon of thyme, and mixed that with the simple citrus, and it worked out really good.
It's like our daughter's noodles that she wants on a daily basis.
I mean, well, they are good. I mean, she does that with a little bit of butter on some noodles, and she's good to go. That's all she wants.
And the simple citrus too. So yeah, same recipe.
But I will say, I actually ate on that pork loin. Filmed for a video. I saved some of it. I actually had dinner that night with it a couple weeks ago. I know you weren't with me. I was there by myself, but I taken and almost shaved it, right? Made it really thin and piled it up on a really good fresh bun and had some mayonnaise and stuff. But it was great leftover. I mean, really, really good. It cooking it to that 140 and pulling it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What made you pull it at 140 and not a higher temp?
Well, it was going to carry on its own, and I didn't recheck it, but I think it probably got somewhere around 147, 146. I mean, you're talking a 5 pound roast. It was a solid 14, 15 inches long, and, I'm going to go, you're talking about a loin. It was probably a good 3.5 inches diameter to 4 inches diameter. So you're talking about something almost like a stick of wood that big, cooking that long, but also holding that internal temp of 140 in the center. The carryover was perfect. So it held a lot of residual heat to carry over to that doneness temp, what we look for in pork.
So what do you think makes the simple citrus rub work well this time of year? Just because you can pair it with almost anything, really?
I think you can mix it or pair it with almost anything. It's one of my base layers when I'm smoking turkey myself. Kind of simple citrus and my Cajun Creole garlic butter are one of my go-to all-time favorite turkey, kind of blends. And with that being said, it works so well together because of the citrus notes, the lemon peel, the garlic, the correct amount of salt, the onion powder, and it's a few other ingredients in there I don't want to, mention out because it's unique to that kind of recipe.
So what else would pair with that rub on a pork loin? I mean, I know you just said Cajun Creole, but the citrus,
No, you could use it with any of them just because of the citrus notes behind it. It's basically an AP rub with citrus and more garlic and lemon peel in it. and it's got citric acid in it to give it that nice pop in the back of your kind of mouth. But also the lemon peel draws you in that good lemon flavor. So you can do it with any kind of barbecue rub, the honey rubs. It just depends on what combination you want.
I feel like at the holidays that most people, when they're cooking meats, always tend to go the herb route, like the fresh herb route. I don't know why that is, but I feel like the recipes I see on social media myself and everything that, well, let me rephrase. When it comes to a beef dish or like a pork tenderloin. Now, turkey, sometimes not.
Yeah, because the honey rub is good on a turkey. You're not eating the skin most of the time.
But I just feel like prime rib or beef tenderloin or pork loin, people gear more towards the fresh herbs during the holidays.
I think it's so many unique recipes out there adding fresh herbs to other rubs, or either taking garlic and herbs and doing like an herb
making
crust
your own rub,
on top
really.
of,
Yeah.
Well,
if you wanted to.
It's like me. You could season a prime rib roast with my beef rub or my simple citrus or whatever, right? Any of the AP type stuff, and then making a kind of a herb crust to go on top of that rub is fine too. So taking those fresh herbs, maybe some minced garlic, maybe some olive oil or W sauce or something to that effect, combination of both, and smeared it on top once you season it, will get the same effect. And, you even have some people that take and mix it with butter and rub it on the outside like that and roast it off.
So back to the pork loin, what would be your go-to sides to pair with a pork loin? I think it's going to depend how you cook the pork loin, because if it's more herby, you might want to do like a mashed potato, whereas if it's some people like sweet potatoes.
I could go either route personally myself. I could go the pork tenderloin and some gravy, sweet potato casserole, green beans, or mashed potatoes and green beans would go well together, or maybe a green bean casserole because it's the holidays, and I really like the green bean casserole that we make totally from scratch. It just depends. It seems like holidays are a lot of starch and carb heavy, right? Wouldn't you say that? The dressings and things like that, and you have the protein.
Here in the South, maybe not other places as much, but
that's right.
I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day about how in the South, everything for the holidays gets turned into a casserole version. We add cheese, we add cream, we make it as unhealthy as we can for some reason, but that's just how we are here.
Why do you think it's like that, and why do you think that Thanksgiving and or Christmas has gotten so, I don't want to say elaborate, but so many old school households, dressing, turkey, ham, peas, mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, or yams, however you do it. Some people do corn. What am I leaving out here? Giblet gravy.
I don't even know.
I'm sitting here naming our
cheese.
whole menu, but it's we do everything like that traditional, all those sides. We have a full menu, that we keep. We know we've got everything. So do normal people just have like a ham
Normal
and
people.
maybe
We're normal people,
2 to 3
I thought.
sides? Well, I don't feel like we're normal because I cook everything's in a half pan.
I don't know what defines it, but I do feel like here in the South that it gets turned more into a casserole version, whereas, and maybe it's not just in the South, but I do feel like you do see other meals posted by other individuals that focus more on like a fresh green bean, a fresh carrot, stuff like that. So I don't know I guess it's just how you were raised and what your family's used to. I don't know what defines that, but
yeah.
Because I really don't know.
Well, and like for us, we don't do a ton of roasted carrots. I like them.
I was actually talking to the same person about how one year we did do roasted carrots, and I think you and I were probably the only ones that really ate them. And it wasn't that they weren't good. It's just that's not what our families are used to having. No. So they just really didn't eat it because they would have rather ate the other stuff. So I don't know. Like I said, I guess it's what you're trained for growing up. I really don't know.
I guess that's a good way to put it.
I don't know why we turn everything into. Don't get me wrong. I like the green bean casserole and I like all that stuff, but at the same time, I like when you cook fresh green beans and put the citrus rub on them and they're very fresh and crisp. And I don't. I like
think
them
it's
both
so
ways.
many different ways to eat the green beans. Either way, they're going to be great, right?
Yeah.
But I think here in the South, what you're saying, everything turned into that casserole, I think it's the convenience of you can mix it all up and just pop it in the oven the morning of.
It's better reheated that way.
And
maybe.
Well, cook the right then, you know what I mean? You know, we don't get up and do everything the day of. We kind of take the day before, kind of prep everything, get everything ready, and get up. And we don't have to finish off much on a holiday day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do cook my ham and turkey fresh that morning, and sometimes I cook it the day before and then slice it the next day. And we like turkey kind of half chilled ourselves. I'm not going to say we eat it hot, but throwing it back in the oven and letting it just come up to warm 180 the way we do it, it's never not been juicy or anything, right? Yeah. You know that. Just because I'm one of these people that I brine and I inject a lot of times or vice versa.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, I guess it's just whatever you want when it comes to your meal. But what, back to the pork loin, one of the things that we didn't talk about, what mistakes do you see people make when cooking a pork loin? Just overcooking it in general?
Number one, overcooking it. I think a lot of people go, well, man, that loin, you know, we always cook it to 160, 170, you know, like, well, that thing's dry. It's flaking off by then. For us, you know, taking it to 140 and then letting it rest at least 20, 25 minutes before we slice into it, all those juices are kind of sucked back up in it and reconstituted, and it stays moist and juicy every bite that you take. I think a lot of people, when they overcook it, all that juice is gone. It's like chicken, right? Whether you're frying it, baking it, whatever. If you don't pull it at the right doneness, it's going to be overcooked. It's going to be stringy. It's going to be dry. And I think that happened with a lot of pork loins, turkeys, and chickens.
This is a little off topic, but did you really eat pork loin growing up?
Yes.
You did? I was just curious.
We would either...
in a crock pot?
No.
I feel like my grandmother cooked it in a crock pot or the oven sometimes.
No. We had oven roasted pork loin every once in a while. Sometimes it'd be bone in, and my grandmother would cut them, or my mom. But a lot of times it was on the smoker and stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't remember.
And then if they would buy a whole and they would cut it down and tenderize it and do it like that too as well, you know. And a lot of times boneless pork chops, they were just fried, they were battered and lightly fried pork chops. I mean, that was a lot. Or baked pork chops, or, you know, barbecue chops, or we done a lot of that. Depending on my grandmother and mom and them, they bought whatever was on sale. They were not like us when we go to the store, kind of I don't want to say whatever we want, but we're not looking at the sale paper week in, week out and determining our meals that week off the sales paper. When I was a child, we went off the sale paper. Whatever the store had on sale that week, whether it be ground beef, we ate ground beef that week in some meals.
Like
if it was chicken, we ate that. If it was, you know what I'm saying. If it was a roast, it was a roast that week, or you know, several times.
Roast is expensive now.
Roasts are very expensive. You can't go buy roasts. They're $30.
That's what I'm saying. $40. I feel like the sales are not what they used to be. I mean, I know the cost of everything has gone up, but
I do feel like going to Costco talking about roast or Sam's Club and buying a 2-pack, you get a better value buy than just going. And I was actually looking at making a roast the other day, and I think it was $32 for the roast that I picked up, and I was like, nah,
that's a
I'm
lot.
not going to cook a roast tonight.
Especially, I mean, we have a 3-person family, but she doesn't eat roast.
She don't
really.
eat roast, so.
But I mean, that's a lot for 2 people. Or even if Blaine were to come eat, I mean, that's a lot.
It's really a lot by the time you add sides and all that on and everything else when you're trying to be budget friendly in a sense, I guess, on a weeknight meal.
I don't feel like anything's budget friendly anymore, unfortunately.
I really don't either.
Even chicken's high.
Something, if you want to go outside of your budget to eat really well, is a prime rib or a beef tenderloin. And I just cooked a beef tenderloin from the Market House, which turned out great, by the way. And when I tell you good, the only thing I would add on to that I didn't do on camera, I would either make a creamy horseradish and an au jus to go with it, or one or the other, or both, right? And I didn't do that on camera. I probably should have. I've got plenty of creamy horseradish recipes out there, so just pick one of those. But I like the creamy horseradish with my beef tenderloin just like I do a prime rib. That's me.
You've always liked horseradish, I guess.
I do. I don't know why, but if you're wanting to get a prime rib or a beef tenderloin or anything else from Market House, we do have a discount code available through Market House. It's Heath15 for 15% off. It started on the 30th of October.
I think that's correct.
And it runs all the way now, all the way to February the 4th, correct?
Yes, of 26.
So anything you order off their website, site-wide, it's Heath15, and you can get 15% off your whole order shipped to you.
It's markethouse.com is their website.
But
they sent you a whole pre-trimmed beef tenderloin.
That's it.
And you basically seasoned it with the garlic butter rub and a little, it says you use some beef tallow spray.
I did. Now, we did take
Pepper.
and cut it down a little because there was not that many of us eating. And they sent a whole beef tenderloin trimmed out. Mm-hmm. So I actually cut the tail part off in one end, and I only cooked the Chateaubriand part out of the center of it. But it was a whole beef tenderloin, and then we cooked a couple other meals with some of the other leftovers. So, we didn't need that much. It depends on what you want the whole thing to feed everybody. It kind of depends.
Yeah.
On what you need. But we tied it up with butcher string and used the garlic butter rub and some cracked black pepper, and we used some thyme and rosemary and butter. It was...
And you cooked it on the drum, right?
Cooked it on the drum. Let it just roast on the drum. And the flavor you get from that drum and that live fire and that fat dripping on the fire is just so good.
I feel like it doesn't say, but that wouldn't have taken very long to cook, right?
No, I don't think we had a total cook time of about maybe an hour or so, a little over an hour. Beck, do you remember that? Yeah, about an hour. I think it was about an hour of what we were doing. Yeah, at 300 degrees. It was because it only had to come up to 123, so it was didn't have to cook that long.
So what would be the benefit of cooking over live fire versus like a pellet grill?
For me, on a beef tenderloin prime rib, I just like that more of a char effect. That's just me. But there's really not a benefit. Any of the pellet grills will work. Just depends on what you have at your disposal. Nothing wrong with it. You could smoke it on there and then sear it off in a skillet. You could put it in broil in the oven just a minute and get a little bit better of a crust. Some people don't have
grills at all. They can.
Yeah, so they could broil it in the oven. It don't matter. I would cook it first if I was going to smoke it or cook it on a pellet grill, and then I would either sear it or broil it off some kind of way. Or now you can even take some of the new grill torches, right? As long as you dry that thing off, you can sear it with a grill torch like they do, like a sous vide piece of meat. So there's so many ways to get there that people probably don't realize that.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for the fire management or anything of the drum? A lot of people tend to ask about that.
100%. The key factor to great fire management on a drum is keeping the lid shut, getting in and out of it as quick as you can, because the drum's not like anything else. When you get that much air, that much oxygen in that fire, you smother it out, keeping it held down to 275, 300, 325 degrees. When you get that much oxygen in there and that much airflow and you take that lid off, what do you think's happening? It's feeding that fire and it's going to jump up, right? Yeah. We see it all the time. And that's the majority of people's problem. I think they take the lid off and they think they've got more time than they do to check something. And before you know it, flames is bursting up on the bottom of the foil way up, ever how many, I think it's over 18 inches up. So it don't take long at all. So whatever you're working on, a good rule of thumb, try to have one person there raising the lid for you, and you grabbing whatever you need off to check it and do, and then you can put it right back. And your cooker, not only with the lid, the second biggest factor is when they take the lid off and they put the lid back on it, they're going to adjust the vents to try to smother down the fire they created. Well, if that drum was already running at 275 or 300 degrees where you had the vents adjusted at, why would you just not put it back on there and leave it alone and give it a few minutes, and it will calm down to where it was at before? And a lot of people don't realize that. They go to slapping the vents or opening them up or doing this. It's the wrong thing to do on a drum. It's right opposite.
So you pulled this beef tenderloin at 123. Why did you choose that temp?
For me, even steaks, I don't cook over 125. Yeah. I yank them at 125 or before. I think it's plenty of time. We like them that way. That's just us. If you want to carry it on up, it's going to keep cooking. I think if you carried it to 130, that beef tenderloin would have hit 136, 138, 140. And you know what's that going to happen to that piece of meat? It's going to be a little more pinker than it is red.
Yeah.
Not going to be as juicy. It's not going to be as tender. And if it keeps going up in temp, it's going to keep getting less juicy, more gray. So pulling at that 125 or a little before is more than fine. And I know that, this is a beef tenderloin you're talking about. But like a prime rib, for instance, most of your restaurants only cook a prime rib to 120 in a restaurant, 125. And that's why they get more, I guess, pink throughout the whole prime rib. And if you would have cooked it kind of harsh, we've cooked plenty of prime ribs. Sometimes the center's perfect and outer edges are not. You cook it really slow like that, though, you get more consistent cook.
Not a fan of the prime rib for some reason, personally.
But you're not a ribeye person.
No, I'm not.
At all.
That's why. I mean,
You're
I'll
a
eat
filet
it,
person.
It's a lot of work cutting all that fat off.
Well,
and
you're just going to say
everything
you're not a fat person on that.
I'm
I
not.
like a ribeye, but I like a filet too. I like a strip. It depends on what I'm gang for.
else. I mean, I would rather eat a strip than a ribeye.
It's just because that intermuscular fat
Yeah, I know.
is all it is, nothing else. But the ribeye is better than a strip, depending on which cut you get. Especially like a good Delmonico cut, a good tri-heart, something like that.
I mean, I'll taste it, but I don't want that as my whole.
I know you'd rather eat a
Deal.
filet.
Yep, sure would.
Way different.
How long did you rest this beef tenderloin once you took it off?
Ooh, I want to say that we rested it about 30 or 45 minutes.
And why
right.
is it always important to let it rest?
To let the juices kind of reabsorb back into the meat. If you cut it, as soon as you take it off the grill, all the juices are going to run out on the platter, all over the cutting board. I've made that mistake numerous times, trying to rush a shot or rush to get finished. And at the end of the day, you really don't need to rush it. Meat's done when it's done.
So, is there such thing as resting it too long?
It might get all the way cold.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, but I don't, some people go, you need to rest it for as long as you cook it, right? That kind of depends on what it is.
Yeah.
If it's a really quick, hot cook, like a steak, a thick 2-inch steak, you know what? I might consider if you cook that steak 8 to 10 minutes, 100% let it rest 8 to 10 minutes. It will still be hot. It will still be fine, but it will be better for you. But I don't think you could do that. You can do it with beef ribs or brisket. We see restaurants do it all the time, and they pull it at a certain temp, and they hold it in a CVAP machine for, 16 hours, 12 hours till the next dinner service or lunch service starts up. So it kind of just, you've got to figure out a technique that works for you with what equipment you have and how much time you have. And you always want to give yourself extra time. And you know this better than anybody when it comes to cooking. I mean, you bake a lot, and you do, and good at some things, but let's talk about timing.
That's rude.
No, I'm not meaning that in a rude way at all.
Good at some things.
But you know what I mean by that is if you get too much going in the oven and you got multiple things, it's going to take things longer to cook same way as a smoker. So you need to give yourself some additional cushion room, some timing in there. If you can't just go, well, it's going to take 45 minutes this to cook, 40 minutes for that to cook, and vary them off 5 minutes. So you got to give yourself more time. Like that potato casserole, frozen to not being frozen of the timing difference. Huge difference. It's about double the amount of cook time.
And that chicken didn't cook like you said it was going to cook either because I specifically asked your
It took
opinion.
1 hour.
And you said it would not.
Well, I also didn't know you had pterodactyl breasts.
I explained them to you very well. I said
She had chicken breast almost as big as Kevin Green's turkey breast from the butcher shop. They're
That's
half
what
that
they
size.
had.
That's
You
what
ate
they
all
were.
of it?
So it was like a 3-pound turkey breast or chicken breast.
It was
is what
not
looked
3 pounds.
But my timing was off. I figured it would take about 40 minutes, 45 minutes in the oven.
I got very specific with Heath and asked him, when should I put this in the oven? Because he was going to be home late one night. So I was choosing to cook in the oven because it was raining and cold outside. Yeah. So I cooked chicken in the oven, and I specifically told him, this is my recipe. This is what I'm doing. This is how big the chicken is. This is the temp I want to cook at. When should I put it in?
Yep, and
he was wrong.
I think the only difference between mine and your timing was I would have took the chicken out of the fridge probably 30, 45 minutes before I was going to cook it.
I did. Actually, I did.
Really?
I took it out as soon as I got home, and I did not put it in until about 5:15, I did take it out. I sat it on the counter. I sure did. I know that much.
Well, that was big chicken breast.
They were. That's
They were
why
big.
I didn't even cook the
And
whole
it did take
pack.
right at it. I think it took right at an hour. But I was guessing about 15 minutes prior because I didn't figure you would lay them out.
No, I actually did lay them out, but
Well, it's
anyways.
all about timing. So give yourself more time. But we did have to wait on that casserole, right?
We did have to wait on
We
the
had to wait on
casserole.
that casserole.
That's what I get for trying to make you a homemade meal. Always a complaint.
So long story short, make sure you're giving yourself enough time to cook whatever you're going to cook, folks. That especially during the holidays.
There
when
was
you got
enough
so many
time.
foods.
You just ate later than normal.
I'm not talking about you and I. I'm just talking about when you're cooking a regular meal, that's fine. But the holiday meal, when it gets to be that much, we're very fortunate that I'm running 2 or 3 smokers sometimes outside, warming stuff up and doing stuff. And then we have 2 stoves, right? So we can heat stuff up and hold stuff in one stove at 180, 200 once we get it cooked, and then still be cooking or roasting in the other one, and I've still got a smoker going or something. A lot of people don't have all that. They have one oven, and I can remember, I don't know how my grandmother and them done it all.
Yeah, I mean,
Yours too. Your
growing up, it
grandmother
was
had
always
one
just-
stove and all that, and you go over there to eat, and it's like you got 9 pots warmed up, and you ain't got but 4 eyes.
Yep.
You got 3 or 4 things. You got a ham, a turkey, dressing, all this stuff, casseroles that was done in the oven. How did you cook all this? I mean, how did our families before us do all that when we have smokers outside to work on? And yeah, my dad had them, but he was hunting every Thanksgiving. He had nothing to do. He'd come in to eat. He done his part beforehand. At least that's the way it was at my house. And he was hunting every Thanksgiving morning.
I don't know how they did it.
I don't know how my grandmother and them juggled it either.
So would that be your number one tip for somebody cooking a beef tenderloin for the first time, is to allow yourself enough time? Or do you have a different
Allow
tip?
yourself enough time. Be sure you're resting it. And for the love of baby Jesus, please do not overcook such a wonderful piece of meat. You can always go back and put it back on the grill, but you can't pull that doneness out of it. Just remember that.
True.
So it's better to be safe and open that smoker or that oven and check it with a thermopan or a good temperature device to not overcooking it. If you got a probe to put it in advance, do that. I highly recommend it. There's so many companies out here like ThermalWorks, and ThermalWorks is a brand that I support and I use, but that will not let you overcook it, and you can use an alarm in it. But
I mean, some of the grills come with their own probes
yeah,
now.
some of the grills come with their own probes. Take advantage of technology if you're not that much of an experienced cook. So that way you can turn out the same food that we do, because nothing we're doing is hard at all. Nothing. I don't feel like anyway.
Any other recipe tips about Christmas or anything before we
I
just
know
go
we're going
to
to talk
talking about
we're going to
Christmas?
talk about some recipes and traditions on next week's podcast and things like that. But just remember, if you're looking for any kind of high-end quality meat like that during the holidays for quick overnight shipping, Market House with Heath 15 can get thrown in the munch, and you can get prime rib, beef tenderloin, any of the pork, seafood. They have it all, chicken, whatever you want. But other than advice, I would say watch your cooking temps. Don't overcook something, for sure.
All right. So like we said, we're a little over 2 weeks away from Christmas. So I'm going to ask this. Have you started Christmas shopping?
No.
Yeah. And didn't you say on a previous episode that you were going to do better this year and have all your stuff done? And
Sometimes a man falls short of his goals, and that's one of them. I do not have it all done yet.
so when
Do you have all yours done?
No, not all of it. More than you, though.
I concur.
When would you say the Christmas season starts for us?
What do you mean?
Is there a time that's too early to start decorating for Christmas?
Well, you personally, we get a tree about the beginning of November. But our
After
daughter,
Halloween.
After Halloween and all that, we do. We love Christmas trees, and our daughter loves them.
We have a Christmas child.
We have a Christmas child. She absolutely loves. She's going to stand at the Christmas tree every day. She's going to mess with the ornaments. She's going to talk about the tree. She wants to be the one to turn the lights on and turn them off and do all that. Those are her trees.
Play with the music boxes, and
That's
it's
it.
not just trees. I mean, it's
And we have a
everything.
big tree, all right, and then we have a regular tree that we decorate, right? And what I mean by the big tree, it's a nice themed up, nice ribbon and all that in our main living room. But then our little side thing, we have a tree that we decorate up with our ornaments that we made or had been passed down from generation to generation. And I know she worried us till we decorated the tree. We got it up, got the lights on it, and we were like, we're gonna decorate it this evening. We'll do it tonight. You know what I mean? We're gonna do other stuff. And by 1 p.m. that day,
I don't remember exactly.
she couldn't deal with it no more. At 3 years old, she had to get the tree decorated, so we had to stop what we were doing and go decorate a tree for an hour and a half with her. And
Well, once it was done, she was fine,
I know she wanted to lay on the couch and look at it then.
pretty much, and play with the
was it.
different light options. All these trees now are so advanced on the light options that come on them. Which, that being said, obviously we have artificial trees. Did you always have artificial growing up, or did you have a real tree?
We did have artificial trees, and we had a real tree one year, and my grandmother vowed she would never do it again because a real tree is just not as full a lot of times as
I think
a
it depends.
fake tree. It depends on the one we had wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. And my grandmother hated it because she's having to water it and having to do all that, right? And I just always remember this. They always use icicles on their tree. You know those icicles from back in the day?
Well, which
I don't know
one
if they still,
are
the
you talking?
silver ones that you string on the tree after you've decorated it.
Like the ones that are just plasticky?
Yes, that are
Yeah,
just so
I know
stringy.
what
And
you're
I
talking
remember that getting everywhere.
So
just
my
remember.
grandmother, instead of those, I don't know why she did this, but she got ribbon. Like, the little things of ribbon you can buy that were shiny colored, and they would come in like little piles or whatever that were this size. She would always get the ribbon, and we had to cut the ribbon and throw it all over the tree.
I don't know why that was. With,
But I
older
wasn't
generations.
raised in a real tree family either. Now, I don't know if you remember, but you and I had a real tree one time, a long time ago.
I remember that. We lived in an apartment. The glory
Yep.
days.
And it is different, like having to water it and all, which, I guess
And
it's not a
just
big
never,
deal.
It's just never
It's just,
as. I mean, yeah, you can get a really nice Christmas tree and go pay big money for it, for one filled out like that. But it seems like the ones that most time you're getting, they're just not as filled out, or full, I guess is a better word for it.
Yeah.
Like an artificial tree, and you shape all the limbs like you need to and things like that and kind of make it real full looking. Lot different.
How do you feel about Christmas music?
I like Christmas music. I do. I do think some people start it way too early. Like maybe I don't agree with starting it in the stores until after Thanksgiving. I don't think we should be playing it in stores.
No, I agree with that.
November 1. And it seems like now that a lot of your big box stores have Halloween. They have Christmas stuff out before Halloween.
Yeah.
Some of them.
I don't know. I guess I'm picky on my Christmas music. I only like certain versions. I'm a big Elvis person when it comes to Christmas music. And, of course, I've always liked Christmas in Dixie. That's a big one to me. But beyond that, I go old school, like Frank Sinatra, a lot of the older.
I agree.
I don't like a lot of the new versions. Personally,
I don't
that's
like
just
any
my
of the new version stuff.
personal
no.
taste. But I like I said, the Elvis and the Frank Sinatra and all the older. And I guess maybe because that's what I grew up on, and that's what I like now. So,
Nothing wrong with that.
So what will a typical Christmas meal look like for us? I think we talked about that earlier. Basically, almost the same as
Almost same as
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, it'd be.
we
a
have
turkey,
swapped it up in the past
a ham.
before.
Always cook some turkey breasts from Kevin Green.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to do a ham because I personally like ham. I eat a little bit of turkey, but I'm a ham person. We're always going to do sweet potatoes. We're always going to do mac and cheese, green bean casserole, probably mashed potatoes, English peas.
Same old stuff. But
What
now
else?
for Christmas Eve, we sometimes switch it up and do.
We either do a steak. We've done beef tenderloins. We've done. I haven't done any prime ribs. We've done fillets, salads, baked potatoes. We've even done sandwiches and things like that, just to take it easy. Snack trays and hors d'oeuvre type stuff on Christmas Eve. So it just depends.
Yeah. What's one dish that you have to have on, like, that you have to make or you have to have that's like, it's just not Christmas without it? Is there one for you?
I would be highly disappointed if I didn't have sweet potatoes or green bean casserole on the holidays. I don't know why those two stick out to me like they do, but it seems like those two dishes stick out more to me, maybe even more so than the ham and turkey during the holidays. Those two side dishes. I don't know why. But I really like green bean casserole. I'm a green bean casserole fan. Huge.
Do you have any favorite Christmas memories or traditions growing up?
Wow. I guess just everybody used to come to our house and things like that as far as like family goes. And we used to have some big, like my grandmother then was big into cooking. So I guess that's maybe where I got it from. There would always be a ton of people eating at our house that come out for the holidays, whether it be between aunts and uncles and cousins and all things like that. It was just an array of kin people and friends that my grandmother and them just always fed a bunch of people. And it was like one big potluck or family reunion sometimes. It was just crazy. Like her sister and them would come out of Memphis, my great aunt and their kids. And it was just, we always had a good time. And I will say that my grandmother, sister, my Aunt Robbie out of Memphis, and I hadn't been back out there to this place in years. I don't even know if it's still open. I'm pretty sure it is. It's called Brad's Barbecue out in Bartlett. She used to bring baked beans from Brad's Barbecue all the time. You could just about bet if she was coming to my grandmother's house, she stopped and got Brad's Barbecue baked beans.
For Christmas?
It did not matter what it was for. If it was 4th of July, if
Were
it was
they
Christmas,
good?
I will say yes. They had plenty of meat in them, and they were like old school baked beans.
So she just liked
them? They were
them?
pit smoked baked beans. So they were put on a pit and probably cooked 7, 8, 10 hours. You could just tell that. And she always got those baked beans from Brad's Barbecue out in Bartlett. And I don't even know if that's open anymore. I need to check and see and just go eat there again. Because I never have been there to eat. I would just ate those baked beans. That was it.
Wow.
Yep.
Do you think having a young child changes how we celebrate for the holidays?
100%. 100%. I think that without a young child, we would probably not be sticking to as many traditional things as we do. I think it would veer a little bit. And I don't mean anything bad by that, but I think as you grow and you do and things like that, yeah, maybe the food, but we're not really open. We may have a glass of wine or a cocktail or something like that, but we're not, I want to say, partying during the holidays like some people, right? And if we didn't have a very small child, I don't know if it would turn into that, but I don't know either.
I don't think so.
I mean, we're not one to just sit around and get totally wasted.
I just, I feel like it changes it, especially when they're young. You and I have had this conversation even previously about Disney, but it's magical to them at a young age. And then once they get to a certain age, it goes away. And that's sad. I mean, just as a parent, because you get to see the magic in their face or whatever. And I remember that as a child, bits and pieces of that, and I want to make sure my child feels the way that I did, because I've always told people, I was telling somebody the other day, I had a great childhood. I can't complain about anything. Very fortunate, and I hope that my child feels the same way one day, and that's all I want.
And I guess you asked me a while ago about, Christmas traditions or whatever. Yeah, we never done without, no matter what it was, whether it was some toy that we wanted or had to have, or a BMX bicycle, or a BB gun, or something to that effect that was the hottest thing out, right? A pair of Jordan shoes one year. I'll never forget that. But those are vague little memories that my parents always made sure that we got one thing that we really wanted.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of it was what they probably seen us getting, right? Like clothes and things like that we all get as children. But we always were ensured that we were going to get something like that no matter what. I don't know. My dad would break his back to get it. do whatever. He would sell something if he had to. He would work so much overtime. It didn't matter. Take on an odd job. But I will say they always made sure that we had what we wanted, and we never starved.
Oh, yeah.
For damn sure. Out of nothing else, I ate real good at my family. And you know my grandmother. You met her. All that. You never went without a meal. Me and my buddies joke about it now. I could go there at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake my grandmother up out of bed when I was younger. And she would get up. And she may give me some choice words, me and my buddies. But she would cook us a cheeseburger right then and there in her nightgown. I mean, that was just my grandmother. And then she would get up the next morning and she would cook hand-rolled biscuits and sausage and gravy and bacon and eggs and the whole 9 yards to send us on our way. That's what she did. And I don't know, just thinking those family traditions, I'm very, very glad of that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess mine didn't center around as much as food as I mean, we had good food and we never went without, but I have a few other memories too that I always think about too. I mean, talking about the Christmas tree thing earlier, like my grandmother would never put her Christmas tree up unless we could all be there as a family. And you were even a part of that when you came.
I started
along.
dating you. That had to be on a Sunday.
It was always on a Sunday. And I mean, it was that way my whole childhood. Her and my grandfather never put their tree up until we could come put it up as a family, which meant, my parents and me and my uncle and,
everybody had to coordinate to be there.
Yeah. And she was going to cook you a meal because you were going to help put the tree up. But
I don't know what it was that grandmothers knew that we didn't, but they were the glue that held houses together. And at this day and time, we can previously speak with our families. Since our grandmothers have passed, it's not the same.
Oh, I agree.
110%. And I don't, I think most families are that way nowadays. I think some people do an excellent job at carrying on family traditions, and we have some really good family traditions that we've started together since we've become a family almost 20 years ago and started and carried on. But also knowing that some of those traditions that we had as a childhood will never be the same in today's times like we had back then, too. It's kind of disappointing.
Well, I think as we've said many times, we live in a different world now. Times are just different altogether.
For sure. Well, there's one thing for sure that's not disappointing, and that's the level of food that I'm going to continue to cook and eat. And I hope that everybody really takes that part to about family. Good food can bring friends and family together closer than anything. There's not a lot of people that fight and argue and carry on during the holidays. I mean, you know what I mean, for the most part. But good food brings people together, and it unites people, right? And so maybe food this holiday season can reunite families and bring better conversations and more good luck into 2026 is what I hope. And with that being said, is there anything else you'd like to say? No. All right. We will see y'all next week on another episode of Shootin' the Q, which will be the last one of the year. And then we'll be back after that in January to kick the year off right and see if it goes by just as fast as 2025 has. See y'all next week.
If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels. Leave us a review if you've enjoyed the show. And until next time, keep shooting the Q.